Our next speaker is Rod Castan, personal friend of mine for many, many years. Rod started in the industry in 1985. He's presently president for leasing and management for the Courtelis Company. Along with Rod, for the first time, we thank the University of Miami as they have put forward Marcos Puente, who's presently in the industry and also a student at University of Miami in their real estate division. They collaborated on this together, and we look forward to their presentation.
Go for it. Good morning, CCIM. We are the retail guys. I'm Rod Castan with Courtelis Company.
Marcos Puente with MMG Equity Partners.
And we're here to present to you the retail overview of 2020 and 2021 CRE outlook. Who would have thought 12 months ago that the things that we went through? And who would have thought that sweatpants and toilet paper would be more valuable retail commodities than suits and shoes? But it happened, and we made it through it. And who would have thought that plexiglass would surround us in restaurants?
What a crazy year, huh?
Yes, crazy year. It's enough to drive Michael Scott crazy. Let's talk a little bit about the year of turmoil that was 2020. Back in April, the whole world collapsed in retail rent collection and in the shopping center management and leasing business. We saw, rent collections drop to 30%. We saw national credit tenants, 2/3 of them not pay their rent. So the whole definition of credit tenant was turned upside down. And it was something that we didn't know if we were going to make it through. There was a lot of anxiety. It was difficult, a lot of sleepless nights, a little bit more alcohol consumption than I would have liked, but we made it through it. Now in November, if we look at the stats of the trends in retail rent collection, we're up to 90%. And so we're excited about the promise of that. Now, through that, there was a lot of rent deferrals, there was a lot of workouts. So there's another shoe that could drop as we go through these collections of the rent deferrals. And we're concerned about that in 2021. But it's only through the hard work of so many small businesses, so many property managers, the unsung heroes out there, the asset managers, who really rolled up their sleeves and worked hard to make this happen and hold things together. So we saw a lot of things that were difficult. We saw a lot of pain in the market. The consumer was struggled through this and continues to struggle through this. But we're hopeful, and we're really blessed to be in a market that is dynamic, that has a lot of things happening, and we think that we'll get through this just fine.
Interestingly enough, there were winners and losers that came out of this. So,
yes, the essential retailers really kind of carried us through the whole 2020 market. And they were benefactors of the shelter-in-place orders. The grocery retailers, the Home Depots, the Dick's Sporting Goods, those retailers were able to get through this market and actually showed dramatic comp sales increases in the second and third quarter. For instance, if you look at the charts that we're showing you, Home Depot had a 25% growth in comp sales in between 2019 and 2020.
absolutely crushed it.
And the grocers crushed it too.
Right.
I mean, Winn-Dixie, which was a tenant that was in bankruptcy just a short while ago, had 16% comp sale growth and is now opening up 7 new stores. So we're seeing some good signs in the marketplace that we as retail developers, leasing people and managers can take advantage of. But there are losers in the market too. Apparel retailers, gyms, restaurants, the entertainment sector such as the movie theaters saw a lot of pain. We had a tremendous amount of bankruptcies. I got my bankruptcy attorneys on speed dial right now, and that's not a good thing, as much as I like him. I had one shopping center, there were 5 national credit tenants that went bankrupt. And just getting through that was quite a chore. But there were a lot of workouts, there was recapitalization, interest rates are low, and a lot of these bankrupt tenants are going to be able to restructure and retool. So we're hopeful about that, although there probably are a good amount of bankruptcies that are still going to happen in 2021.
Right.
Let's take a look at the current market conditions and what's happening in retail in the submarkets in Dade County. So, Miami's retail market has been hard hit by the coronavirus, and the most hard hit areas have been the tourist-driven areas and the B and C class malls. If you look at some of the stats from CoStar and from 11th Street Capital that we looked at, Downtown Miami, Wynwood, Miami Beach, all have some softness. They have vacancy rates of 7 to 20% on their shop space, on some of the ground floor spaces there, and there's a good amount of space available. Part of that is that those markets have extremely high rents to begin with, so they're driven by tenants that need to generate tremendous amounts of sales to pay those rents. So we're seeing some corrections in the market there, especially in those tourist areas. There's also about 2 million square feet under development in the Miami market. So there's a lot of new development that we got to keep our eye on it and see how that absorbs. But the strength of the market and the low vacancy rents are in the grocery anchored centers. 11th Street Capital looked at 234 grocery anchored centers in Miami, and the occupancy is 94.7%. So a lot of those markets are holding up well. Where's the vacant space exist in Miami-Dade County? How's it broken down between shop space and anchor box space? Well, there's about 70 or so anchor boxes available from 10,000 square feet and up. Many of those are getting absorbed. They're located all throughout the market. The pain is shared because some of those are corporate bankruptcies, like with Kmart, and we're seeing those slowly get backfilled. There is some shop space vacancy in the Miami Beach market, in the Kendall and Westchester market. We think that'll get absorbed as things go forward.
Yep.
So I want to turn this over to Marcos to talk about some of the top leases in 2020.
Cool. Yeah, so interestingly enough, with all of the retail under development, as Rod said, there's about 2 million square feet under development in the market. The largest leases signed throughout Miami-Dade County were largely within the new development projects that have either recently come online or are currently under construction or in the planning stage, right? So the largest lease, Rod and Alan Eskenazi did the Target at Central Plaza, and that deal was signed on the 31st, I believe.
29th,
no kidding. So great way to end the year. Largest lease, 77,253 square feet at Central Plaza. That's core city of Miami. You have Burlington out in Doral, a Benderson deal just on the pad of International Mall. Former Toys R Us box, quickly gobbled up. Next to it, I think, is Total Wine. LA Fitness, Miami Gardens Plaza. The Whole Foods at Nima Biscayne, Crescent Heights Tower, that's soon to come up. Powerhouse Gym signed at Miami Central, core downtown Miami. Amped Fitness took the former gym space, in Doral. Ross, new deal at Doral Square. Aldi, Block 55 at Sawyer's Landing, and Sprouts at Homestead Pavilion. And behind them there was a number of other boxes that were recently taken up at some of the new construction projects. So
there were a lot of leases done with tenants, including Five Below, the dollar stores. There were leases done by Ross and their DD's concept too. So there was a good amount of activity. It was pretty dead in the summer, but retail leasing agents were incredibly busy in the third and fourth quarter.
The hot projects of 2021, or that we, in 2021 and, throughout 2020, Central Plaza is obviously a new one. That's a great project by Terra, mixed use. And the majority of these projects are all mixed use, but Central Plaza itself, apartments adding on to, a large retail center, core city of Miami, with a new Target, River Landing in Miami River, large mixed use projects, office, apartments, retail, great retail. I think the retail there has done very, very well. Coco Walk at Coconut Grove, going to bring a resurgence to the area. Esplanade at Aventura, the former Sears box. Grove Central at Coconut Grove Metro Rail Station, nice mixed-use project. Kendall Town Center out in West Kendall. Doral Square in Doral, Block 55 at Sawyer's Landing in downtown Miami, and Miami World Center in downtown Miami. So, where retail is headed, new retail in Miami, all mixed use, have to have a variety of different uses to make, and these are all large projects that will benefit, multifamily, retail, some have office components. Overall, that's the future of Miami, mixed use.
It's exciting. I mean, these are truly landmark, architecturally designed. They're special projects. They're looking at different and unique ways to use the land. They're bringing in some of the best anchors in the business with Target and Publix and Ross and Marshall's TJ Maxx, among others. And we're seeing, like you said, this mix of uses. So Kendall Town Center will have a big hospital medical component to it. Coco Walk and Doral Square have a big office component to them. Block 55 and Central Plaza and Grove Central, they have, and River Landing, they have over 500 units of apartments all around them. So that's what's driving it, is integrating the mix of uses in development. So we got some great tenants coming into South Florida. One of them, as many have heard, is Amazon 4-Star. And Amazon 4-Star is a boutique Amazon concept that's opening up on Lincoln Road, which highlights the 4-star and above Amazon products in kind of a boutique, interesting, streetscape environment. But it's not the only thing that Amazon's doing. Amazon's active in looking at sites throughout the country to get into retail bricks and mortar in a variety of concepts, from grocery to books to convenience stores. So they're going to be making a big splash in the retail business going forward. REI is a retailer that is taking advantage of the trend towards outdoor activities, and they're opening up in Uptown Boca. Cheddar's, a Darden concept, is opening in Pembroke Pines and Kendall. Cons Electronics is opening up in Florida and starting to scout the South Florida market. They're an electronics retailer that was established in 1890 out of Texas. There's 2 fitness concepts that are making a big splash. Lifetime Fitness is opening up 2 units of 100,000 square feet in the Falls and in Coral Gables. EOS Fitness is out of Arizona. They have 30 units. They're open in Tampa, and they're opening up in South Florida in several locations, 35,000-foot gyms, backfilling some 24-hour fitness spaces and also taking some new spaces and new projects around the South Florida area. There's 2 exciting, fast casual, drive-through oriented concepts that are opening up. Culver's out of the Midwest, which is a burger concept, and Raising Cane's, which is a chicken concept out of Texas. They're actively scouting locations right now, as is Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is opening up 7 units in Miami-Dade County.
Can't wait for that.
Oh yeah. And then a lot of these department store spaces are being repurposed, and one of the repurposes that's happening is in Pembroke Pines. Round 1 is taking a department store space and opening 100,000 square feet of entertainment in that location. There's a lot of growth in the health food and in the healthy living concepts. Besides the fitness, Sprouts, with over 500 stores, is coming into South Florida in a big way. They've signed leases, in both taking second generation spaces and new development projects in 23,000 square feet. And Sweet Greens is open in Coral Gables and opening up 3 more units in South Florida in 2021. Another great healthy food concept. Crafty Crab is a 30-unit chain that is coming big into South Florida too, in about 5,000 to 7,000 square feet. And they opened up in Sunset Drive and opening up in Pinecrest soon too. One of the exciting things about South Florida is how we grow new concepts and how we have local retailers and restaurants that are creative and looking to expand and entrepreneurial. Some of those are in the health and health-oriented restaurant business, including Carrot Express, opening up 7 units. Bolé, which just opened in Pinecrest, is looking for other locations. The bowl concepts, Diced is another one, similar to Bolé, looking at these bowl concepts, taking over second generation spaces that come up and rapidly backfilling those. Our Latin supermarkets are on fire. Presidente Supermarkets is planning about 15 new units over the next couple of years in the 25 to 40,000 square foot range.
They're expanding throughout the state as well, and looking at Tampa now, even, all over Orlando too. So,
and they're even doing ground up development. They're not only doing ground up development, they're looking at buying shopping centers. So they're a great prospect. The bakery segment, Kyle and Pinecrest Bakery, both still on fire, and looking to franchise and grow throughout the state of Florida. Mr. 01 Pizza, a creative and gourmet pizza concept. We just signed a lease with them in Pembroke Pines. They're in Wynwood. They're looking to open up additional units. The liquor segment's very, very, very strong right now. No wonder. Crown Liquors is looking at locations and opening up a few, and they're a Coral Gables-based a retailer. One of the great things that happens down here in South Florida is we have creative restaurant minds and chef-driven concepts. that are well capitalized, well managed. There's 4 very active groups: Grove Bay, Wolverine, Vida Estilo, and Fine Spices, that are looking at new concepts and opening up throughout the marketplace. So we're excited about some of those things that are happening in the restaurant business down here going forward. So one of the things we did is we said, what's going to happen in 2021? And no one has a true crystal ball, as we saw from what happened in 2020. But we thought the best move that we could do was go to the gurus. So we went to 12 gurus. As you can see, all these bearded folks over here gathered together. Not to say that Beth and Mindy and Irma have beards, but these are the wise men and the wise women of retail in South Florida. And we asked them for their opinions on where vacancy and where rates were headed and where were the hot markets in town. So we're going to share the collective wisdom of the gurus and share that with you going forward now.
Yeah, so we pulled the retail gurus, and on the market's vacancy prediction, the most optimistic of the bunch, said that 4% was going to be the highest vacancy. The most pessimistic anticipated 10% vacancy, so the consensus fell around 8%. But overall, most were of the consensus that vacancy will increase in the tourist areas, the downtown, Wynwood, Miami Beach, as we discussed earlier, and B&C malls, as retailers and restaurants struggle with the pandemic limitations during the first 6 months. Grocery anchored centers in Miami-Dade County will remain very strong. In terms of the retail rent trends, the most optimistic believe that rents will stay flat. The most pessimistic, that rents will drop by 11%. The consensus was that retail rents will drop around 4.67% in 2021. Major concessions as high as 25% will occur in fashion districts and malls. Rents will rise, and competition for limited restaurant drive-through and out-parcel opportunities that exist throughout Miami-Dade County. Overall, we'll have to work with the retailers to be able to make it through and ensure that everything is able to do well in 2021, and they're able to sustain their rents with the limited sales at the beginning of 2021.
But the real summary of that is that you can't say that one size fits all, because there are so many different kinds of retail in the marketplace, and we've seen from what happened with essential retailers doing so well that rents could be driven up in many of these cases. And so that's why we didn't really get a clear answer from the gurus, because there's different segments and there's different ways of looking at retail. And like Marco said, some of those department stores going out has caused such distress in the B&C malls that you're seeing percentage rent deals, you're seeing adaptive reuses, you're seeing pop-ups, you're seeing changes of use to medical, to educational, to different kinds of service uses, to being distribution centers going forward, and rezoning of dark boxes into apartments throughout some of the projects that are distressed in the market. So that is in a nutshell, rents are going to depend on what kind of product you have in retail.
Right.
So what are the gurus' submarkets to watch in 2021? Well, we polled them, and the 5 top markets that everyone agreed were the ones that had the most strength, most growth, and most potential going forward were Aventura, Doral, Coconut Grove, the Dadeland Pinecrest area, and Homestead South Dade, surprisingly. Homestead South Dade is seeing a resurgence in residential development as people look for affordability. So for the grocery anchored retailers, for the value oriented retailers, they're being really driven to look at Homestead South Dade. And then the densities of population in Aventura, Doral, Coconut Grove, and the wealth of Dadeland are driving those markets. There's tightness in those markets, there's not availability of supply, so you're seeing incredibly creative projects happen using vertical elements and using mixed use development techniques to be able to create good retail space in those markets. Some of the honorable mention areas were Hialeah Gardens, which is seeing a lot of development connecting into Broward County, the West Kendall Market, the River Alapata District, which is a market that was never really recognized as a retail market before, but now with River Landing is starting to come together. And then Coral Gables, we think that Giralda will bounce back with outdoor seating and with a desire for people to get back out there. And as the office market starts to come back and people start going to office, Coral Gables will come back. And then the Wynwood Edgewater area is exciting once we can start getting tourists back to the market. And Little Havana and the Shenandoah markets, some of those residential markets are being redeveloped and growing, so the retail will follow in those markets and get stronger. So our final outlook takeaways for 2021 are that the pain is not over. Landlords are going to have to be flexible and nimble in 2021. And retail's not dead, it's just being reinvented, and essential retail is thriving. Most retail projects are part of greater mixed-use plans, and Miami-Dade is really an anomaly compared to the rest of the country. As migration comes in, as tenants like Blackstone come into the market, and residential growth spurs retail development. We also see great new retail concepts from within and outside of the area that are growing, and we're excited about the future going forward.
For sure.
Thank you. And we'd like to thank Comstack as well for the data, and CoStar and 11th Street Capital and those other sources that we used, especially our gurus. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you all. Cheers to 2021.